Hey guys, here's a really cool stitch. I am calling a cast on stem stitch. To be completely transparent though, I don't know the actual name of it, so I kind of made up a name. I've also seen it called a raised stem stitch, but calling it a cast on stem stitch is what made the most sense to me. So I'm using some DMC variegated thread, and to begin, I'm using a chenille size 22 needle with just 6 strands of thread knotted at just one end. To begin the foundation of this stitch, I'm going to add some straight stitches beginning from the bottom going all the way to the top, and I'm going to try and make them as evenly spaced apart as I can. For the next step, I'm going to need 12 strands of thread, so I'm going to knot this off and keep my same needle and the thread on it, but instead of knotting it at just one end, I'm going to knot it at both ends, so that way when I'm stitching, I'll be able to use the full 12 strands. So again, I'm still using that same size chenille, the 22 needle, the variegated thread. To begin, I'm going to come up in between the two bottom straight stitches, just in the middle. I'll bring my needle underneath that top line, just on the top of the fabric. Then you'll need like a small wooden dowel or a skewer or something small about this size. We're going to put it on the top of the fabric and use it to develop our loops. So I'm going to bring my needle underneath those two bottom lines, and it's important to make sure you're only coming underneath those two bottom lines, not any of the other straight stitches that you've made. And this is all taking place only on the surface of the fabric, so you're not bringing your needle down through the fabric quite yet. Now that this bottom little section of my shape is filled, I'm going to bring my needle back down through the fabric just above the wooden dowel, and then come up in between the next set of lines that I'm going to be adding some loops to, and repeat that process just the same way. But for this second step, I'm going to do a little bit of a tricky maneuver when I add my loops. So I'm going to begin by coming up through those bottom two straight stitches, but come up to the left of the bottom loops that I just made until I reach about halfway through that line. Now that I'm halfway through, I'm going to switch and come up on the right side of those bottom loops and wrap my needle and thread underneath, starting from the right side this time. Now that the rest of this line is filled, I'm going to start on the next one just above. And one thing that's important to note is you should wait to take your wooden dowel out of the loops you've made until you've started the next line, just so they don't come loose or get pulled too tight during the transition to the next row. So for this next one, this is about the widest point of my oval here, so I'm going to be making the most loops on this side, and then I'm going to repeat that process of coming up through, starting from the left side of that first loop just below, and then once I reach halfway, I'm going to switch and come through the right side. Now I'm to the halfway point, but before I switch to the other side, I'm going to grab a new set of embroidery thread because I'm getting a little low here and I don't want to run out in the middle. So I'm just going to tie this off, grab another 6 strands, knot it at both ends so I can stitch with those same 12 strands I was before. So I've got my new 12 strands here, and I'm going to coming through the right side of that first loop on the left side, just below my wooden dowel. And once you get to like the halfway point of your shape, it can be a little bit difficult to tell where you're at. This stitch does take quite a bit of practice to master. I'm still not perfect at it either, but if you are getting frustrated, just keep going, keep trying. It's definitely worth it to learn this stitch. It has such a cool effect. And just like before, once I'm finished with that row, I'm going to begin a new one by coming up through the fabric just above my dowel and sliding my needle underneath the straight stitch just above, pulling out my wooden dowel and beginning on my new set of loops. And at this point you can kind of separate the loops a little bit so you can distinguish them from each other. And since I've filled in the widest point of my oval, I'm going to begin coming through on the right side of that first loop on the left. Then I'll just continue on as normal, switching sides once I reach the end. So I'm just continuing the same process that I've been following since the bottom. I'm gonna meet you at the end because I'm sure you're sick of hearing my voice by now, repeating the same things over and over again. So you can just watch what I'm doing. Hopefully this is making sense for you. I know this is a little bit hard to see. It's really hard to film this stitch, but I'm hoping that it will be helpful. Now for my last loop here, I'm just going to make my loops in between this middle loop just below, that middle set of loops just below my wooden dowel here. So I'll start coming up through the left side, make a couple loops, and then I'll switch to the right side. Then when you're finished, you can knot off at the back of the fabric and make sure to keep your wooden dowel in until your thread is knotted, just so you don't pull any loose threads through. And there you go. I hope you enjoy this stitch. Please like this video and subscribe so I can see you again next time. Thank you.